Hello my friends, welcome back to Cafe Bagheri's kitchen. It's time for another rice dish on our channel. What a surprise! A Persian wanting to cook more rice. Yes, we do love our rice dishes. As you know from our other videos, there are two major ways, well actually three major ways to cook rice. The white rice, the steamed rice that we cook with saffron with our kebabs and khoreshes is called Polow. If you add any kind of vegetable, meat, or herbs, or fruits even to your rice, it becomes a Polow, okay? And then Sauté, of course, is our sticky rice. Today we're making another Polow, which is Adas Polo. Adas is a Persian word for lentil. And lentil belongs to a family of foods called legumes. Legumes are fruits and seeds of a family of plants called Fabaceae. I think I'm pronouncing that correctly. I think it's a French word, but they're Fabaceae or Fabaceae. They're a group of plants, and their seeds and fruits are dried and then used in a lot of dishes. Beans and peas and our lentils that we're going to be cooking with today, peanuts, soybeans, and split peas that we use in our favorite Legume, khoresh, are all legumes. So you may ask, what's the benefit of knowing a legume? Well, nothing really. You still enjoy the Adas Polo that we're going to make today, but maybe at your next cocktail party or your Persian dinner party, you can say, hey, Uncle Ahmad, did you know that Adas belongs to the family of foods known as legumes? Look that up, okay? Look up legumes, and let's make some Adas Polo together. The process to prepare the rice is similar to a lot of the rice videos we've done for white rice, the Polow, and for the Polow. We start by cleaning and just sifting through our rice to make sure there are no debris or bugs or rocks or anything that was shipped with the rice. All right, now we're going to wash the rice. About 3 to 4 times. The main objective now is to get the cloudy starch out of this rice. What you do is you run your fingers, or you can do this with a spoon, just push the rice around to release that cloudy starch from the rice, like so. Don't put the rice grains between your fingers to clean them. That's not the purpose of this exercise. Every time you do this rinsing, the water gets clearer and clearer. So this is going to be our third time, real quick. One last time, you put the water in there and just leave it. I have 4 tablespoons of just regular table salt for the amount of rice I have here, which is 3 cups. I'm going to put that in there. So we're making a salt brine. Just use a spoon or your hand to push the rice around to make sure the salty water gets everywhere. This is it. Now we're going to let this sit for about 1 to several hours. Don't do this overnight because your rice gets too soft and tender. Now next, we're going to do our lentil. It's about 1.5 cups of regular lentil. I call it green lentil, but if you go to any grocery store in North America or maybe Europe even, whatever is labeled lentil simply is what you want. Just go through and make sure there are no rocks or debris. See occasional like peel, little outer skin, or interestingly some grains and legumes that are from different family end up in the package. Now we're going to rinse the lentil, not for the same purpose as the rice. There's no starch or cloudy stuff to remove. Just make sure if there's any dust or dirt in there is washed away. Then you're gonna fill it. This is just room temperature tap water. And you're gonna set this for somewhere between 2 to several hours. So these two guys can sit here on the counter for a minimum of 2 hours to whenever you have time, the next few hours, to start making your Adas Polo. It's been a couple of hours. Our rice and lentil have been soaking in water, and I went out shopping, came back, took a little nap. Now I'm ready to cook the rice and lentil and the meat and the rest of it and put it together. So first step for any polo is to cook your rice, boil your rice so that we can add everything else to it. I have water boiling on high. I usually throw in the salt brine solution and rice, all of it in there. There are schools of thought that say don't add the salt, but because we're going to be washing everything out of this rice, it's okay to have the salt brine in there. We're going to add about a tablespoon of your neutral vegetable oil and stir this. The oil helps the rice grains not to stick together. There you go. And you don't want it to immediately sink to the bottom and clump. So we're gonna stir it a little bit. We're gonna wait for about 5 to 6 minutes until our rice is al dente, which means the outer shell is soft, but the center of each grain is still hard. All right, while our rice is cooking, I'm gonna do a fine dice on our onion. We have a whole large onion. We're gonna use half to cook the lentil and the other half for the meat or mushrooms, if that's what you're using. We're going to test our rice. It's been about 5 minutes. It's perfect. Make sure you don't burn yourself. The handles are gonna be hot. There you go. So we'll pour it in the colander. Do a couple of more times. You can use our Sauté recipe and make rice that way and then use it for your Adas Polo, and it's going to be a little stickier, and arguably it maintains a lot more of its nutrients because the starches are in there. I like the traditional authentic recipe for Adas Polo and Lubia Polo or to wash the starch out of it and then use it to make your polo. The rice is straining. We're gonna leave it here. Now it's time to get the water out of our lentils. I believe this is big enough for our lentils. We're gonna let it sit until almost all of this water has drained out of this, and then we're gonna cook it. All right, our lentil and rice are draining over there. I've got this skillet over medium high. I'm gonna put a couple of tablespoons of my favorite neutral oil, which is grapeseed oil. I'm gonna wait about a minute or so until this is heated and shimmering. Our oil is ready for the first half of onions. Remember, this was one large onion that I diced. Half of it is for our lentil, and the other half is for meat or mushrooms if you're using. There you go. I'm just eyeballing, and I propose that this is half of that one large onion right there. And then equalize and just let this guy cook until all onion pieces have golden edges. 5 minutes or so on medium high on my cooktop to get the onions to where, see, there's a little bit of golden edge on each piece. So that's why we don't really emphasize the timing so much in our recipes. Just go by the condition or smell or look or color that you're looking for. That's what we were looking for, okay? Our lentil has been drained completely. As you can see, there's no water coming off of it. We'll put our lentil in here. So when it started, it was 1.5 cups. Of course, they have plumped up because they were in a bath of water for a couple of hours. Now we're gonna add our pepper and turmeric. Do a quick stir to get the onion, lentil, and the spices mixed up and distribute it. Then you're gonna equalize and let it cook until the lentils are a shade darker. That takes about 4 minutes on my cooktop. What this cooking of lentils in the oil does, in essence, it helps firm them up and they won't disintegrate and soften too fast when you're cooking it or steaming it at the end with your rice. Okay, our lentil is where I want it. As you can see, it's a couple of shades darker. And we're ready to transfer it to a bowl. It's a medium bowl I'll bring over here. And we're gonna use the same skillet on medium-high again. Couple of tablespoons of neutral oil again. Let it heat up for about a minute. Thankfully, our skillet is already hot on medium-high. And we have our other half of the onion, the chopped onion that we had, has been cooked to where, as you can see, the edges are starting to get golden. That's exactly what we want. We don't want to pulverize them, we just want them to cook real well. I'm gonna add the meat. This is where I'll tell you, if you don't want to add meat, you can, this is ground beef 80-20 because it needs some fat, which equals flavor. You can use turkey, you can use ground chicken or lamb. So beef, lamb, turkey, and chicken work. Ground pork chops work in this recipe as well. So you need a little bit of fat. If you use chicken or turkey, just compensate with adding some fat, some butter. You want to make this a vegetarian Adas Polo, get some, any kind of favorite mushroom, same amount, a little more maybe, more than a pound, pound and a half, about 600 to 700 grams. Chop them up fine, chop them the size of the onion that you see there, and then use them instead of meat. So you, at this stage where I added the meat, you would be adding the mushroom. As you know, mushroom doesn't have any fat in it. So at this point, if you're adding mushroom instead of meat, just add a couple of tablespoons of your vegetable oil to compensate for that. And everything else from here on out with the recipe is the same for the mushroom as it is for the meat that I put in there, okay? So at this point, we add our bit of salt and pepper that we have. I think the meat needs a little bit more breakup as it changes color. So I'm gonna use the potato masher that we use a lot in this kitchen for different reasons. Whenever ground beef is being cooked for tacos or for Persian dishes that have ground meat, this is the best tool to break it up. All right, we're gonna continue cooking this beef and onion until none of it is pink anywhere and it's a shade or two darker. The beef is near where we want it to be. I'm gonna add turmeric. and the raisins. With the raisins, golden or regular raisins that we're using, if you don't want too big a pop of the sweetness of the raisin in your Adas Polo, what you can do is you can chop them up to finer chunks to distribute that sweetness throughout your Adas Polo more evenly. The sweet touch of raisins is a very essential part of this recipe. Any kind of raisins, like golden raisins, would work. I love craisins. Cranberry raisins here in North America are plentiful. I use them instead of barberries in my rice and tagine, and they're excellent. I have not tried them here in the Adas Polo, but I bet it would be good. I need to try that. Give it a try. Let me know how it works out. We'll let the raisins cook with the meat to kind of release some of its sweetness, maybe about a minute or two longer as the meat continues to get darker. Okay, let's give this one more stir. There, see that? The raisins are now plumped up. They no doubt release some of their sweetness into that meat. And we're going to add some more awesome flavor and sweetness in form of cardamom and cinnamon later when we put some sauce over the rice at the end when we're steaming it. So this is going to be a symphony of flavors, and you're going to love this. We're adding the meat and raisins to the lentils. Carefully here, be careful not to spill any or to burn myself here. Okay, our meat and lentil mix is still warm here, ready. Our rice has been straining. Almost all the water that could strain out of it is out of it now. We're gonna add it in this huge bowl. You need to make sure your bowl is large. We're assembling the components of Adas Polo before it goes for final steaming, right? And we add the lentil and meat. Of course, it would be lentil and mushrooms if you had opted to go the vegetarian route. We have the raisins in there, of course. This recipe, it works with a lot of, people put nuts and other dried fruits in there. If you want to go the extra sweet route, I think dried apricots and plums or prunes chopped up real fine should work with raisins or instead of raisins in this configuration. This is mixed well. Let's put this aside. Now let's make our butter saffron sauce. I'm gonna go on medium here on this smaller eye, and I'm using a smallish saucepan. You can use a little skillet, about 4 to 5 tablespoons of butter, and we're gonna melt it. You can break up the butter to help it melt faster. Doing this, turning it around, helps pick up more heat from sides of your saucepan and somewhat speeds up the melting of the butter. Now to that, we're going to add our spices. These are the aromatic and sweet spices. I have cardamom and I have cinnamon. Make sure this doesn't boil too much. See, I pulled it off the heat. You can even lower the heat if you want. I am going to add about a tablespoon or 2 of water. And I'm going to put a little bit of saffron solution. This is very aromatic and wonderful. The one thing that I add, and is not traditional, it's not a Persian ingredient, it's just my own addition, and I love it. It's coconut butter or coconut oil, and use a quality coconut oil. A couple of tablespoons is plenty for this. There you go. And it gives it a wonderful aroma. That's if you like coconut oil, but not everybody does. Like in our family, we're split. I love it, and the other person doesn't really care for it too much. So just make sure this pretty much just melts and your sauce is ready. Again, you don't want to boil this. We're going to leave this here. So we need some crunchies at the bottom of our pot of rice. Adas Polo is no exception. We need Tahdig. We need that crunchy, loving Tahdig at the bottom. One thing you can do is to cut lavash or any flatbread. You can put potato slices like we've done on many videos. But you can also let the Adas Polo itself cook and crisp up in the butter and saffron mixture at the bottom and crunch up. That would be wonderful Tahdig by itself. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna do half and half. I'm gonna do half bread and half, just leave the half or about a third be just the Adas Polo Tahdig, if you will. So we're gonna do it this way. We're gonna cut this like so. Don't worry, the rest of this bread will not go to waste. This is my breakfast bread, okay? Now we're going to bring our pot back to start the last stage of cooking our rice. About 4 to 5 tablespoons of your neutral vegetable oil. And then you put some butter, about a tablespoon should do for flavor. The butter is needed for flavor and color at the bottom of your pot. And the oil, neutral oil, is to increase the smoke point of the oil you have at the bottom there. You put a little bit of saffron. I'm gonna put some freshly ground black pepper. I'm gonna put some salt, and then put about a tablespoon of this tasty sauce that we made earlier. Right? Remember, this had cinnamon and cardamom and saffron and butter. So I'm gonna put about a tablespoon of that, no more, just to flavor up that Tahdig crisp. I'm gonna make sure this oil and saffron mixture goes up about 2 or 3 inches up the sides of this bowl. Now we are ready to put whatever it is that we're putting at the bottom for Tahdig. I showed you earlier that I cut this bread to shape. In order to show, this would have all been bread, right? In order to show you what both of these look like after they crisp up, some of it is bread, and that little piece over there is gonna be just crunchy Adas Polo as Tahdig. There you go. Now we're gonna bring our big bowl of the mixture from before. Now remember, we are still on medium, so you have to work fast because you don't want the bottom to start burning. At this point, again, standard Persian rice steaming process. I'm gonna put the lid on. Because it is a glass lid, I can see the condensation, which is a big indicator of when I'm ready to seal this and go for the long haul, for the 45, 50 minutes of steaming. I'm gonna wait here. Takes about a minute or two for the moisture from the bottom and through the rice to start rising, and then you will see condensation under this lid. The condensation under the lid is at the level where any second it's going to start tearing, which means rolling down the side. That's when I sing, don't cry for me, Adas Polo. No, I won't quit my day job. Here, that's when we pick up the lid and then use a handle of a spoon or a spatula to put some shafts, some holes that go all the way to the bottom of the mound of rice. And if you have watched our other videos or have made Persian rice, you would know these are to bring up the moisture from the bottom, distribute the heat evenly throughout the mound of rice, and the moisture that comes up helps dry the bottom and helps improve your tahdig, crunchiness. Now our sauce is ready here on the side and warm. This has to be warm or otherwise butter will congeal. So the warm butter saffron sauce, you just pour it evenly all over. As this cooks, this saffron cinnamon oil will distribute everywhere. There you go. And then we will put our seal, either a kitchen towel or paper towel on here. You want to make sure this is sealed. You don't want the steam to escape. And you want to make sure the pot is centered on the eye, because that will make sure that as it browns at the bottom, your tahdig, it's going to be consistently browned and look better, okay? Now we're going to drop it down to medium low. So if you divide the temperature numbers from 0 to 10, you want to be on 2 to 3. It's been 15 minutes and Adas Polo is ready. Shall we? There you go. Oh, look at this. The look and aroma. This is Adas Polo. And then you listen for the sizzle. That's another sign that it reached the level of heat that will give you that crunchy and separated tahdig. Okay, so you make sure all the water from the sink is dried. Get a plate, your serving plate, that is bigger than the top of your pot. Make sure you don't burn yourself and you don't drop it, God forbid. And as Persian cooks everywhere say a little prayer to tahdig gods and go flip. There you go. What do you think? Oh, look at this. Oh my goodness. Check that out. There. So we're going to fix this up on the side. So this part is the Adas Polo tahdig, and this is your flatbread. This is the lavash. Here, check this out. That's what we're looking for. Oh my goodness, look at this. See, this is a rice tahdig. The aroma of cinnamon, cardamom, and a little touch of coconut that I have added to this is really pronounced here, and I love it. So look at this. See, this is the idea of Adas Polo. And then, of course, right here, look, crunch, flap, traditional Persian tahdig with a nice thin layer of all the goodness that is in your Adas Polo on the back of each slab. So I would say the 3 cups of rice and the recipe we've given you gives you a healthy portion for about 6 to 8 people. If you want a bigger piece of tahdig for each person, you would put bread for the whole thing or little pieces of potatoes. There it is, your Adas Polo. It's wonderful. I hope you liked what you saw today. If you did, please like this video. I would appreciate it if you share this video with your friends and family on social media, Facebook and Instagram, whatnot. And if you have not subscribed, this is a perfect opportunity to join our growing community and hit that little bell button so you can get notifications when exciting things happen here and we have a way to keep in touch. Please also check my Instagram page at Cafe Bagheri. Send me direct messages with your pictures of wonderful dishes that you make. Make these recipes your own. Put nuts and dried fruits and whatever you like in your food and transform it and make it your family's Adas Polo or whatever recipe you see on this channel. I really want you to do that and send me your pictures and your feedback. And if you have any Persian items, any Persian dishes that you remember from your family or you've seen on the web and you want to introduce to me, I may or may not have had it or made it. And I appreciate your feedback and we'll make it together right here on this channel at Cafe Bagheri. Thank you. Ooh, you know what time it is. Look at this. Oh, I need to have a bite of this rice first. This is so good. No, you can't have my Tahdig, it's all mine. Look at this. Lavash flatbread is my favorite Tahdig at the bottom of any Polow. Try it. There you go. No, you can't have my Tahdig.